Good evening, you're watching World in Focus. Tonight, tensions in Delhi, growing friction in Southeast Asia and a new diplomatic chapter between the United States and Syria that would have been unthinkable just a year ago. Let's begin with the top headlines of the day. India is on high alert after a fatal car explosion in the heart of Delhi. The blast tore through a busy neighborhood near the historic Red Fort, one of the most visited landmarks in the capital, leaving at least 10 people dead and injuring several others. Witnesses say the area, normally packed with street vendors and shoppers, plunged into a chaos as authorities rushed in to secure the site. Officials are now combing through surveillance footage and forensics to determine whether this was an accident or a deliberate attack. In Southeast Asia, diplomacy just hit a sudden break. Thailand says it is pausing progress on a peace agreement with Cambodia, a deal brokered just last month and announced with fanfare by US President Donald Trump. The move comes after a landmine explosion along the border injured Thai soldiers, reigniting tensions in an area that saw heavy fighting as recently as July. The clash displaced thousands and left dozens dead. For now, Bangkok says the peace progress will not move forward until security along the border improves. Japan and China are exchanging sharp words. The tension began when Japan's new Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, the country's first female leader, suggested that a Chinese attack on Taiwan could become a survival-threatening situation for Japan, potentially requiring the use of force. Beijing fired back, accusing Tokyo of destabilizing the region. The comments highlight just how central Taiwan has become to the balance of power in East Asia. And now our deep dive. For the first time in Syria's modern history, a Syrian head of state has walked into the White House. Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara met with US President Donald Trump in a private Oval Office meeting, a dramatic shift in Washington's relationship with Damascus after more than a decade of war, sanctions and diplomatic isolation. The visit signals a recalibration of US policy just months after the fall of Bashar al-Assad. The tone of the meeting was notably warm. Trump described the talks as constructive, adding that the United States would do everything we can to make Syria successful. It marks a stark departure from previous US policy. Al-Shara had once been designated a terrorist and was under US bounty. Today, he leads the government that took power after Assad's overthrow. Al-Shara is pursuing a strategy that mixes diplomacy with economic opening. In recent weeks, both the US Treasury and the United Nations eased punitive measures against Syria's new administration. Washington has temporarily suspended enforcement of key sanctions, though permanent removal would require an act of Congress, and lawmakers remain divided on how far US should go. Syria says reconstruction and rebuilding state institutions cannot happen without outside investment. During the visit, al-Shara spoke publicly about encouraging US participation in Syria's energy and gas sectors. The US, meanwhile, confirmed that Syria will join the international coalition to fight ISIS, a dramatic reversal given the past decade of conflict. There are still major questions. One centers on Israel. Since taking office, al-Shara has distanced Syria from alliances with Iran and Russia and is now engaging with the United States and regional players. The US has quietly facilitated early discussions between Syria and Israel about future security arrangements, though Israeli military activity inside Syria continues. Another sensitive issue is the future of Syrian Democratic Forces, the Kurdish-led group that fought ISIS with US support. Discussions are underway to integrate the SDF into a national Syrian army, but progress is slow and complicated by Turkish concerns. Al-Shara's rapid transformation from sanctioned militant commander to global negotiator has caught the world's attention. He has met senior US lawmakers, some of whom remain skeptical of easing sanctions, while others argue that stabilizing Syria could help counter extremist threats and limit Iranian influence. Just before his White House visit, two suspected ISIS-linked assassination plots against him were disrupted, highlighting how fragile Syria's internal landscape remains. So where does this go next? Syria wants full sanction removal, foreign investment and legitimacy. The US wants security guarantees, a curb on Iranian influence and assurances against extremism. For now, both sides are testing whether mutual interest can outweigh a decade of hostility. If these negotiations continue, the Middle East could be entering a very different geopolitical era. So that's all in World in Focus for today. Follow the Finance 360 for more.